Perfect. Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the April 2022 Missouri Evergreen Cataloging meeting. Today, I don't think it's going to be a super long meeting. I feel like mostly we just have some announcements and maybe some brief topics to discuss together. But first here on the agenda is regional cataloging trainings. So we have organized some trainings for everyone to be able to hopefully travel no further than like an hour and a half to get to a regional certification training site. These will be all-day trainings that would start shortly after 8 a.m. You know, it's going to be early. We imagine that not everybody might be able to get there right at 8 a.m. so early in the morning. And again, these certifications are not required, or excuse me, the in-person certification portion, the in-person training portion is not required. The certification sure is, but the in-person portion is not. These are really just going to be there to help anyone who's wanting to have more contact with these topics and be able to discuss them with others and have somebody kind of guide them through that information. And these are going to be held in locations throughout the state. I have them listed here, but basically we're going to have some in Sikeston, Heartland, Polk County, Livingston County, Scenic, and then finally here in Trails where I'm located. And so we're trying to get some of these done as soon as we can so that they don't interfere with summer reading at all. We know that that's a real, competitor for everyone's attention and time. So we don't want to draw people away from that too much. Those will be coming up soon. And if you're interested in attending any of those, please feel free just to email myself or at least the Cat Help email so that we have a good number for we know who's attending.
Hey, Nate, as you list these upcoming sessions, would you do me a favor and put the city next to the name of the library so that we know that Livingston County and Scenic Regional and Trails Regional have city names so that people can look them up on the map?
I think that's perfectly fair.
Okay.
Also, for anyone who just wants like a visual of the libraries and where they're all located. Oh, I'm on the wrong place. We also have this nifty little map here that kind of helps out. But yes, as I send this out, I'll make sure to, oh, looks like Kate's on it already. Thank you. So yeah, those are our certification trainings. Does anybody else have any questions or asking for any sort of clarification on those topics? Or on those trainings? Okay. Well, if not, I just, again, wanting to remind everybody that on April 20th, there will be an update to our instance of Evergreen. So we will be migrating or updating from version 3.6 to version 3.8. Last month, we did cover some of those changes. We kind of explored what those would look like. For full information about the release notes for 3.8, as well as any other releases, you can go to the Evergreen ILS website, and I have that linked here. I have linked us directly to the 3.8 release notes, which go in depth about all the different features that are coming and all the sorts of changes that will be coming with that release. Some of this is a little complicated to read through because the way they describe it or some of the things how they talk about it might be different using that sort of developer language, I guess, rather than kind of our more down-to-earth library language. So something I've done is I have actually put together this for my own library. I've put together a brief run through of some of those changes that are coming so that my staff are able to kind of look at that a little bit more quickly and put that and digest that more easily. And specifically wanting to look at some of the cataloging ones. Where did I? Guess we can start here. As we discussed last month, the holding editor is now going to be on the Angular platform, so it's just going to look a little different. It does have more of a tab-based interface, but that can be changed. I don't have it pulled up right now, but as we looked at it last month, it by default is going to have a call number tab and an item tab and like a preferences tab. So in that preferences section, there is a specific setting that you can select that will make sure that the call numbers and items are all on the same page as they are kind of now.
think this is going to be the issue that causes the most trouble at front. People are going to be like, where's my holdings editor? Um, so if you have a chance to hop onto the test server and look at it, do that.
Yes, definitely. And everyone should have access to the test server. I mean, we're using it for our certifications as well. So if you are not familiar, please give that a look sometime soon. In addition to the holding editor looking a little different, I also read that the bib record with the TCN -1 is no longer going to be editable. So for anyone who doesn't know, the TCN with -1, that is where all of our pre-cataloged items go. So as you know, whether you use precats for ILLs or any other purpose, as you create those items, those get attached to the -1 record. And in the past, it's been kind of goofy because I every now and then somebody might edit the title to that. So all these precats now have, you know, Lego Ninjas as the title, if I remember. I think that happened once, and it was very confusing. Um, anyway, that's no longer going to be editable uh, once 3.8 comes along. So you'll still be able to do your precats as normal, but no one's going to accidentally go in and change that record to reflect information that's not applicable to all your precats. So that will be something that'll be behind the scenes, but nifty in its own way. And then lastly, we have a new tab that's going to be added in 3.8 to all of our bib records, and that is going to be for record notes. Um, so far, I don't think we have any identified use cases for this yet. I'm sure as we move along that this will be a nice feature for us to consider um, communicating information about those records. Maybe if we have questions about a record or want to notate something that you've had questions about. Um, again, not exactly sure how we can use this, but it's available, and it'll be nice if we do find that need later down the road to have somewhere to make notes that aren't actually part of the MARC record.
Those are consortium-wide notes, right?
To my knowledge, yes,
So,
those would be
so if you
visible
make
for
a
everyone.
note, yeah, like
Exactly. And then here's some miscellaneous things that I found interesting. Um, For example, if you go to the item table or the holdings view tab in a bib record, you can now add a column that will show the total cert count or the last cert date. So these are really helpful if you're someone who's involved with making collection decisions. Um, having that on your, instead of having to go to like item status, look in the detail view, just having that in the column might be really helpful. I guess carousels on our OPAC will now be taking up more space, assuming that it's the newer carousels. I guess our older carousels were kind of constructed in their own way, but anyone using the new carousel interface, I believe that those will now take up more width on the OPAC.
since you mentioned that, Nate, I recently, we had the old carousels and I asked to be put on the new carousels. It literally took Equinox, it was done in 20 minutes. So
Right. When we did it, it was also very, very speedy, and it's kind of nice to be able to see what's going in there. I felt like it maybe updated a little bit faster even. Um, yeah, I think that was a pretty simple experience. So yeah, if anyone's interested, definitely, or anyone who has the old sorts of carousels that were created by Mobius, it should just be as easy as emailing Equinox to get you updated.
Nate, I
we,
believe that's going to happen whether they're requesting it or not. I think that Steve has
Oh,
said that he has decided that it's no longer something that they can continue to support, the old Mobius carousel. So as of this 3.8, I think everyone is going to get an automatic upgrade.
okie dokie. Well, then it'll just be coming. So just something to look forward to then.
and we made custom carousels for the first time too, out of a bucket, super easy.
I'm glad to hear it. And I think, yeah, once people get that feature available, they'll like it as well. A small change as well, talking about the catalog preferences. That's just the button on the staff search interface that says catalog preferences, where you can select like your default search library and so on, is just now being renamed to search preferences. So it's not gone, just renamed. And then lastly, I think, again, this might be more of a circulation thing, but the exclude electronic resources button that you have on your search interface for the staff, that should now be sticky. So what I mean by that is once you've gone into your search preferences and selected to include that checkbox, that exclude electronic resources checkbox, that should now, once you've checked that, the the box within your search should now be present all the time. So I guess I have that open right here. So is this the test server or the live one? Or maybe this was fixed previously because I see it right here. Anyway, sometime between 3.6 and 3.8, once you go into catalog preferences, once you check this exclude electronic resources box, it should now be present up here. I was reading the history of that this morning and I thought it wasn't added until 3.7, but I'm looking here in our live server and it looks like it's applied. Okay, well, if it's not new, that is news to me at least. So yeah, those are just some of those quick little things that are going to be changing with 3.8. And again, that's going to be coming to us the evening of April 20th, so we should be seeing that on the 21st, really. And as those updates come in, sometimes there's just goofy little things that happen, little hiccups as we make those changes. So, Thursday morning might just be a day where we have to send out some group emails, just checking and see if everyone's experiencing similar issues. It might be a good idea to, clear your cache and cookies, just remember to refresh the pages, maybe restart your computer. Just some of those little things that will help us troubleshoot those really basic issues. Okay, so there's some of the changes coming on April 20th. I also wanted to let everybody know that we worked with Equinox very recently to delete a number of empty bib records that were kind of lingering in the database. We were able to remove 2,300-ish records from the catalog. And normally, as you come across these empty records, if they truly are empty, feel free to go ahead and delete those as you find them, assuming it's not for any electronic resource or, like a local electronic resource, or if it's not like an on order record. Sometimes those ones are awaiting someone to put something new in. But oftentimes, as if they're an on order record, you'll see like a pre-created item that's just waiting to be updated. And we can talk a little bit more later about some of those empty records that can't be deleted because of empty call numbers. So that'll be an issue for just a moment. And then lastly, I just wanted to give an update on certifications.
And if I jump in?
Oh, go ahead, Greg.
So as nice as those numbers are, they're actually incorrect.
Oh.
As of this morning, we have 30 basic certifications completed, and we have 13 advanced certifications done. And I wanted to let everybody know that I've been very, very impressed with the records that I'm seeing. There have been some people that needed a little bit more help. For the most part, you're all doing great work. And hopefully you're finding that it wasn't nearly as intimidating as maybe you thought it was.
That's wonderful. That's great news. Nice work, everyone. So yeah, it looks like we're really getting those in and getting those taken care of. And again, if you need any of that additional assistance or just wanting that extra guidance, feel free to contact us about signing up for those regional trainings. Okay, so moving on to kind of a more practical portion of the meeting, I wanted to talk again about those empty call numbers that linger on our empty bib records. So this is something that came up recently as we were looking at some of the deleting the empty records. So sometimes as we are either creating a record or moving items around, a call number, or I guess a bib record, might just be left there sitting in limbo. We do have settings turned on where as we delete items or move items to different records that it should be deleting them, the bib record on its, an empty bib record on its own, but sometimes they just hang in there. And sometimes the reason they do that is because there's still a call number on that record. And I'm sure the reason that happens can probably vary by each record. But if you come across a record that appears to be empty, but you aren't are not able to delete it, the issue is probably going to be that there's a call number that's still on that record. Of course, I wasn't able to find an example to show everybody, but let's say that you had a record. I'm just going to pull up any old record, I guess. And you try to delete it, and it says, hey, you can't. There's items attached or something. I don't know if it'll tell you that if it's just a call number, but it will try to prevent you. So if you're uncertain if there's something still on there, if you go to the holdings view tab, well, it should normally default to your library. That's, I think, how a lot of us have that set up to, just your own location. But if you change that holding maintenance filter to all of ME, it's going to be, a very long list, but you should eventually be able to scroll down and see a line filled out. In this case, again, this one does have a call number and an item, but let's say that the item wasn't there. You would just see that, oops, that single line. And if it was your library, of course, you could go ahead and delete that call number and progress with deleting the bib record as a whole. But if it is not your call number, it's probably not going to let you delete it. And so in those cases, it's just going to be a matter of contacting the library who owns that call number and asking that they take care of it, or if they're going to use that for an item, they can give you that update and let you know that they're adding the item soon or what's going on with that. So that's just something I wanted to make sure everyone was aware of. Again, we did have some questions about those this week. Okay, does anyone have any questions about empty call numbers or bib record deletion at all? Checking the chat, making sure I'm not missing anything. Okay. Well, and then I guess the last thing on our agenda is that our next meeting is on May 9th. Now, I did have an email this morning where someone was asking about the holiday on May 9th. I was unaware, but there is a holiday on Monday, May 9th. I think they said it was Truman Day and that their library was going to be closed. Are there going to be a number of libraries that are closed that day? Does anybody else in the meeting will be closed that day? Because if there's enough people, I would like to, adjust the meeting time so that we can accommodate everybody. But if not, we can hold the meeting at the regular day and time and make sure that that recording is available for everybody.
Got 2 so far that have said they're going to be closed.
Okay.
I think that's just a Missouri holiday.
Right. Okay. Well, it doesn't sound like there's going to be too many closed, so I think we might just be able to keep the meeting day. I know I don't want to mess with people's schedules. I know some people might have to have a fixed thing where they can get the time they need to attend the meeting on Mondays at this time. So if it's just going to be a few, we might go ahead and continue with holding the meeting on the 9th.
Nate, Karina says that she's got a question or some
Another
questions.
question? Sure. Yep. Any other questions?
Okay, so I'm Sarah from Carrollton, and for some reason it's showing under Karina. I was wondering, has anyone else had any issues with when assigning a new patron up with the numbers for their library card number? Has anyone had any of those that just come up empty?
So when you're saying you want to register a patron,
Correct.
and so you go in here and by default, I know ours is empty, but you were saying you're having issues. Was it on the barcode?
Yes, where we go get our numbers and then we go to assign them here on the barcode. And then some of them just continuously come up empty, and they're ones that have not been used.
So not sure about your procedures, but for us, we'll have like a library card. We just grab a new library card and we scan it into the barcode box. So it's going to say something like 922, a bunch of numbers,
Mhm.
and then it just copies down automatically. Are you saying that doesn't happen, or?
Correct. We have a sheet that has each of our numbers for a library card for each new patron. And so we'll go to the very next number to assign it here in the barcode, and then it should follow suit with the OPAC and all that. But a lot of them are coming up as like they've already been used, even though they have not.
Oh, so it sounds like there might be some barcode collision potentially.
Yes.
Oh, I haven't experienced that. I don't know if maybe the spreadsheet that you guys have locally, or whatever sort of list you guys have locally, I don't know if you guys can go through and test like a series of that and go into the database and look for those numbers and see who they are assigned to, if they're assigned to your own patrons, or if those are barcodes for a patron at another library, to see if they are somehow overlapping at all.
Okay. All right. And then my other question that I had was, we had an incident here just recently where a mom and the two children came in, and they had some bills on their accounts for books that had not been returned. And when our staff member went to take care of that, they were moving back into town. She went to do some changing of addresses. And for the brother and sister, she went to change the address, and it wouldn't let her change the address on the brother because it was owned by the sister.
Yeah. So
What caused that?
So to my knowledge, that's an issue with groups, I guess, in a, let me go see if I can find an account. Oh, let's go to mine. So if you go to patron record and go to other, there's this thing called group member details. So as you create accounts, and usually this is done with families, it might vary by your own library, but as you create accounts and you use that save and clone feature, it's going to create another account with the same address. And this issue comes up sometimes where you want to change the address for someone who was part of this group previously. And to my knowledge is that it won't let you, and that has been an issue. I don't know if that's a bug. That definitely might be a good question to bring up with the circulation committee, to see if has been some resolution on that. But to my knowledge, that is an issue with being a member of these patron groups.
Okay. All right. Thank you for your information there, for your help.
Definitely, no problem. And if you are, for your first question, if you come across that issue where you are finding that some of these barcodes are being used by multiple libraries, definitely feel free to follow up with me in an email, and we can kind of look into that further.
All right, sounds good.
This is Mickey. Would you mind sending me your correct name and email so that I can follow up on this issue? I'd be happy to do a little legwork for you and see what we can get in terms of answers.
Sure, Mickey, I'll do that.
Thank you. Just put it in the chat, and that way I can follow up, and we'll see what's going on. I'll share that with everybody else.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
I was gonna say, thank goodness, I'm sure there were other people in here that could answer that, but thank goodness for Nate, because I don't know anything about circulation stuff. I would never have been able to answer that.
Yeah, I know many of us wear many hats, and yes, I've had to learn a lot about the ILS, and that's one of those things that has come up a few times. Okay, but any other questions that I can help with, or point in someone in the right direction at least? Okay, well, if not, thank you all for attending, and thanks to everyone who's completed the certifications, and good luck to everyone who's still working on them.
Hey, Nate and Greg, one more quick question on the certification procedures and the trainings that have been offered. Greg can probably speak to this more than you, Nate, but can you tell me what sort of feedback you're getting from your respondents as you go through the training? Are they finding that they're feeling much more comfortable about completing the certification, Greg, after you go through the training? Has that been the net result of that kind of day spent with them?
Well, and we've only actually had one training to this point, and they were really kind of a test group because we didn't know how this was going to present. And I really like to keep the training a little bit fluid to address questions that they have. I went out to Oregon County, and I think a lot of the people that came in for the training initially were very, very anxious about this whole process. And I think by talking it through with them and actually having some exercises to do, which actually mimics a lot of what the coursework was doing, they felt at least a little more comfortable. I also don't speak tech. I mean, I understand tech, but I don't use it in terms of my presentation. So I asked them for some feedback. I got a little bit, but for the most part, I think at least half of them have already certified on their basic from that particular instance. I do know that in that 8 hours, we were able to do quite a bit. We didn't concentrate so much on the basic portion of the course because people felt like they had that. It's the easier portion. They really wanted information on like monograph parts and creating original records, which is time consuming, doing merges, actually doing some deleting, doing some overlaying of records, importing a record, doing a search to find what they were looking for. So I think overall, if you're really, really anxious about this whole process, please sign up for the in-person trainings. We do a lot of humor in it, so it's very laid back and very easy. Usually we bring in free food, so you never want to discount that power as well. And again, the training isn't so much for us to judge you as a cataloger, it's to empower you so that you can catalog at a higher rate than what you're doing right now, or to give you that knowledge so that you can go, you could even look at a record and go, okay, that's bad, that's bad, that's bad, that's good, that's bad. I had somebody send me an advanced certification this morning, and the first record that they did, which was mark editing, the record that they showed me gave me hives because it was so horrible. It was like 6 lines and hardly anything was filled out. And I was like, oh, okay, I can't do this. We have to change that. And then she edited it and it looked so much better when it got done. I'm also looking for feedback on the course materials too. If anybody has anything as they're going through it that they find doesn't make any sense or could be clearer, let me know, because I'm happy to change all that as well. Those can be printed. I actually printed up a copy of both courses the other day, and this is just me being weird, but I was really OCD about how they looked. And once I got the PDF printed, I can just tell you that it looks really, really good on paper and it's easy to follow, at least from my point of view. Anyway, get out there, do some cataloging. It's all, you're all doing great work.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, if there are no further questions or anything, thank you all and enjoy the rest of your Monday.
Hi, everyone.
Thanks, Nate. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody. Thank you, Nate.
See y'all.